the Cinema and I podcast. We're back after a week off. You know, we weren't quite ready for Travis's selection, which is today's focus. We wanted to make sure we gave it its proper due. Prayer of, not for. Prayer of the Rollerboys. Right? I got that right? Not for.
I do. Yeah, it's Prayer of the Rollerboys.
I really want to say for, but it's Prayer of the Rollerboys.
Yep.
I'm not really like a master of grammatical expertise when it comes to English. But either way, we're going to focus on that. It's episode 166. Eric, Travis, and me live here. Of course, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate that. And the 5-star review. If you haven't done that, we could really appreciate. I know we've missed the show last week again, and you could fairly chastise us by cinema9pod@gmail.com if you want to email the show and say, hey guys, do a show every week. We'll do our best, okay? It's August. Times are tough. Travis, we're here live today. We're going to do your moving a little bit here. What's going on, though? Actually, we're talking like we just started talking. Me and you have been talking for the last 15 minutes. So.
Oh, well, I had my first ambulance visit to the ER this Tuesday morning. I have a kidney stone, and I didn't know what was going on with me, but that pain that I'd feared my whole life and had always heard about, that would be like the worst pain a man could feel.
Yes.
I felt it, and I'm not proud. I'm not proud of how I act. There was like screaming, there was writhing, there was moaning. I was in and out of consciousness. I was retching. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And then they finally put drugs in me after I was begging them to knock me out with a brick. And and then they got.
Why did they wait? Was there a reason they waited?
They couldn't get I got all these wounds. See, like this bruise. They couldn't bruises on my arm. They couldn't get to the veins because I was like so like in like some sort of shock or whatever. They couldn't like get to the veins.
Oh, wow.
And they couldn't like hold me down to treat me, so it took a while.
Holy cow, dude.
So when that happens, do you have a pretty good idea of what it is that's happening?
Oh,
or is it like
I had
just
no idea.
Clueless pain out of nowhere?
I had no idea. All I knew, I was lying in bed, I felt something shift, and all of a sudden I was like in fucking agony, like the worst pain of my entire life, hands down. And so I called 911, and they had to by the time they got to my house, I was passed out on my porch waiting for them.
How long did it take?
The whole event was over in like
until the ambulance showed up.
Oh God, they were there like 4 minutes. It was crazy fast.
Okay,
that's incredible. Clearly, you don't live in the city limits of Detroit.
No, I live on the other side of the city limits of Detroit.
Sorry, Detroit. You still got some work to do. It's okay.
It's horrible.
Eric, haven't we had a discussion once? Maybe you recall this, where you were worried that would happen to you by drinking too much green tea and you cut back on it. Do you remember that? Is that a conversation you and I had at all, or no?
I fear that one day that will happen, but
we all do.
Never been worried about. I don't like one glass of green tea is more than enough because it tastes like swamp water. So I was never worried about drinking too much of it.
You know, I used to think, it wasn't him. All right, fine. I will say this: there was a time in my life where I was obsessed with Arizona green tea. That's just sugar water. Now I know that, but when I was 26, I'm like, oh, this is the healthy alternative to a soda. So dumb.
Yeah, we're doing that.
What a fool I was. It's funny what you learn. I bet in 15 years, we'll look back when I was 42 and be like, boy, that guy was an idiot. So it keeps happening again and again and again.
Let's hope we keep doing that.
Well, Travis, wow, that is, we've had Chud Pud. He could relate. So I'm sure you had some conversations.
We talked.
Yeah.
He said, what did he say? He said, now you know true pain and the rest of your life will be easier.
Enlightening.
I thought so.
That is so funny because I still believe every word of that. I do. I'm terrified.
I think I do too. If I feel pain worse than that, it's because I'm dead.
By the way, there's one other friend of ours, Jamie. Jamie, friend of the show. Well, I don't know if he's a friend of the show, but he's our friend.
Friend of ours.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours. A friend of mine.
Friend of ours.
Jamie had one happen after a feast, which is our annual retreat we do every year as a tribute to friendship and good times and noodle salad. And that was in 2016. After the feast, he came home, called me at 9 a.m. on a Monday or Tuesday at the latest, screaming, "You gotta help me, man! You gotta help me!" I never heard him like this in my life, just like you're describing, Travis.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my, wait, this sounds real. This is stunning because it's 9 a.m. It's amazing I answered my phone at all because I'm sure I would have been sleeping with the ringer off, but
right.
I was able to get him in the hospital, and it turns out Jamie had taken too much Tums. Calcium got in.
Feast stones.
That'll do it.
It's also pretty amazing that a grown man in unbearable pain immediately speed dials his buddy.
Yeah, I called my dad.
Travis did it right.
I called my dad and was like, "Is it okay for me to call 911?" He's like, "Yes, call 911. Why are you asking me?"
Well, I get a fine if I dial them, and I'm not like.
I didn't want to. I didn't want the bill.
I will say, our friend Jamie, again, we love you, bud. You never listen to the show, so you're never going to hear this. But he doesn't drive. He hasn't driven in like 20 years. So he relies on other people for transportation. And I lived in Ann Arbor at the time, so that's probably why he called me. But you're right. He didn't call 911. So I don't think he ever would. I feel like he'd be like, I will never do that. Travis is like, I don't give a fuck. I'm in hell. So
yeah, like I was blacking out, so like that wasn't normal.
Jamie probably was too. I remember him in the car. Like, it was like Arnold in fucking Total Recall.
That's it.
Excuse me, are you a doctor? Answer me, please. Are you a doctor?
Well, let's get into. By the way, I'm live at Tim Govier's basement today. Tim Govier wanted to say hello.
Creekside Studios.
Hey, Tim, Creekside.
Tim wanted to say hello to Travis. Tim says, I don't know Eric, but tell him I said hello. I've listened to a few Cinema Night episodes. And Tim Govier said this. He said this about 20 minutes ago. No bullshit.
Let's hear it.
He said, my favorite part of the show is the quarantine viewing picks. I love that. They talk about what they've been watching over the last week. I'm telling you, that's what he said. So this is from the people who do listen on occasion. And Tim's listened to a few episodes. Tim's actually more familiar with Eric's brother Jeff than Eric. But, it's funny how these things go. Either way, he sends his best. Travis, what have you been watching?
A lot of Sopranos. Been binging doing my yearly Sopranos binge. I checked out yeah, it is. I checked out that Rock Hudson documentary we were talking about. Did you guys watch it?
Oh, damn it.
Nope. Missed it again.
It's what you want it to be. It's like you learning all about the fucking like behind the scenes gay orgies and all that shit. It's fun. It was definitely fun. I mean, it's also sad, of course, but I need to watch more Rock Hudson movies. That's for damn sure. So that was pretty great. Prayer of the Rollerboys has a lot of comparisons to a 1986 film that's also a dystopian roller skate feature called Solar Babies. So I watched that. It was terrible. The it had Jason Patrick in it. It had a bunch of fucking people in it. It had Jamie Gertz. It had some good people in it, but it was a trash movie. Ooh, yeah, Jamie Gertz, man.
I'm there.
I love her. Yeah, even she couldn't save this movie in her face, her beautiful face. But the comparisons to Prayer of the Rollerboys fall apart immediately upon dystopian and like rolling footwear. I checked out Hidden Strike, the new John Cena film with Jackie Chan. It is so over the top. The shit that you're watching John Cena's character in particular go through is like I've never seen any character in any action film survive so much bullshit. He gets through like 8 car wrecks. It's amazing. It's the most over the top like 80s style big action movie I've seen in a long time. Half of it's in Mandarin. It was fun. It was stupid. It was real stupid. But it was good fucking like fold your laundry background kind of like action, and I genuinely laughed a few times, but it's not nothing, it's not cerebral.
How do you fold your shirts, by the way? Do you fold your shirts or hang them?
Oh, I hang my shirts. I hang them.
Really?
Yeah, I hang them.
All okay,
T-shirts and everything. Yep.
That's what I started. I rotated to that about 10 years ago, and I've never gone back.
I don't like rooting through the drawers.
I recently learned the hot dog hamburger strategy. I never knew this my whole life. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Is it where you smear a hot dog and a hamburger all over your clean clothes?
No.
Yeah, is it like those? Remember those Whisk commercials? This is Whisk versus every other detergent. They're spraying mustard and shit all over the shirts.
I don't understand this method.
That's like a folding method. It's like a laundry folding method. Like towels, you got to fold them differently from shirts. Hot dog.
You
hamburger.
do. I do know that.
Yeah,
I've seen
I look it
Leanne
up.
do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a fucking art. I don't know how she does it. It's amazing. I'm like, I can't do this.
You have to be employed by Gap or something to learn these actual archaic works.
David Blaine or something because it's magical.
Secret Invasion, guys. I'm a huge defender of Marvel, but they really needed to make this a 3-hour direct to Disney Plus movie. It's not bad. It's just long. It's just like what? Get to the fucking point. You don't want to be bored by a 6-hour Marvel movie.
Oh, so it's one of these shows where they have those like there's too many Gap episodes where you're like, okay, I'm gonna skip this one.
It's not. There's nothing that you can skip though, because it's all like the plot's happening. It's just like the story could have and should have been condensed. They probably feared that no one would turn up for just a Nick Fury movie in theaters, but like if you're gonna make it like a 2-part miniseries or something, I don't know. you know how I feel about Marvel. I'll defend them to the death, but I will acknowledge that this is another misstep, unfortunately. And Echo is not looking like it's going to be that great either, from what I'm hearing. Loki 2, hopefully, will
Vincent
redeem him.
D'Onofrio returning as Kingpin?
We'll see. I mean, I'll be glad to see that at the very least. But
That will be awesome.
The
And your
inside
buddy's
scoop-
going to be in Loki too. Your buddy from
what, Jonathan Majors?
no.
I
No,
don't
he's
think
not
he's
your
anybody's buddy anymore.
No, he's not your buddy. No, he's nobody's. Yeah, you're right. He's nobody's buddy. No, the guy from Everything Everywhere All at
Nobody's
Once.
buddy
So,
Everything Everywhere All at Once. The guy who won the Oscar. Great comeback story.
Yeah. Is he in it? I didn't know that.
He's in Loki too. I don't. That's all I know. I don't know anything else.
shit.
Who he is.
Ki
I just
Kwan.
saw his face.
Ki Kwan.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's if you're a Marvel fanatic, you know you gotta watch it. There is some major things that happen in it, but like you can almost read about it because there's some big
or fast forward.
or fast forward as the case may be. Last but not least, I made the trek with our buddy Christian and checked out Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
oh, shit.
Man, masterpiece, classic, instant classic,
It's a big word, my friend.
instant classic. I mean,
I can't wait to see this movie.
I don't want to overhype it. I mean, the book that it's based on, I loved, and it was like had a big influence on getting me into history and that kind of stuff. Like it was, so like I kind of have been wanting to read like, for years. I was like, someone should make a movie out of this, and so I was looking forward to this for a long time. So I was hyped up for it. And it's been like 2 years of being told about it. And I don't want to overhype it for anybody else, but I do think that this so far is probably Nolan's crowning achievement.
Whoa! I cannot wait to go. I wanted to go with you guys. I ended up moving. Life sucks. There's some hope that me and Travis are going to see Barbie this weekend with some other people. That's in the works right now. But
Possibility.
I'm going to go see Oppenheimer by myself now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go.
Sorry,
the classic
I went without
solo.
you, but I couldn't wait.
No, fuck no. No, I deserve no room for like patience and waiting for me to show up anywhere. I've lost
gave
all
you a week.
credibility. Yeah, no, I've lost all credibility until further notice. I'd have to earn it all back. But I'm now looking forward to go seeing Oppenheimer alone, which to me is actually a great movie to see by yourself in a certain condition, and then I can ask you about it afterwards, and I'll be really excited to text you about it.
Yeah, I mean it's a drama. I mean but like I tell you what, it's 3 hours. I didn't get up to go pee once, which for me, a guy with a kidney problem, by the way, that says a lot. And I never got bored. I was thrilled the whole time.
Oh, my God. I got to get down there.
So check it out.
I started it. Like, I'm really ashamed to admit this, but I'm going to go ahead and admit it anyway.
Oh no!
Like, I found, let's just say I found a link, and I clicked on it.
I'm glad you stopped.
And it started in I couldn't believe my eyes, and then like a fucking like slot machine popped up, and I immediately turned it off. I did the right thing, but I cannot wait to get down to the theater.
I did not take our friend Dave's advice and go to see it in IMAX, but I will 100% say, and I've said this, but like I said, don't bother seeing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in theaters. I will tell you one way or the other, this one you really want to see in theaters.
I'm going to do it. Get to it, Eric. You still have a chance to
Good job,
make
Aston
good.
Mars.
That's right. What about you, Eric? So you didn't see Oppenheimer or anything else?
Dark Side of the Ring returns with season 4. We got episodes on the Junkyard Dog, Doink the Clown. Fucking fantastic. Hard-hitting drama. Excellent, as always.
there.
One of the
I'm
best
so
shows
there.
ever.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to see it. So good. And then I'm like, I was like getting into horror anthologies here, and like I'm like, oh, remember Masters of Horror, like Mick Garris's series? Like we brought in all these incredible directors. I'm like, was that good? Because it's been like 15 years. They all suck. And I mean all of them. I watched
Even the John
Cigarette
Carpenter
Burns,
one?
was fucking terrible. Yeah, that one is awful. Like, great premise, but like when I watched it, I was like, fuck me, this is bad. Yeah, they all sucked. Then I watched Amazing Stories. Remember Amazing Stories?
Yeah!
1985, Spielberg.
Yep.
Not bad.
Overhyped.
Yeah,
We were
not
kids.
bad. Like they're so short. Like they're like 22 minutes long, and they feel like 5 minutes. But the talent, Clint Eastwood directs, Marty Scorsese directs, Spielberg directs. Like the talent on board was out of control in mid 80s for the show. But they're all kind of like,
Gotcha.
Knock at the Cabin. I did it on Amazon Prime. I've been waiting until I didn't have to pay for it. You know, I liked Old last year, and I stick with M. Night. I still see everything he makes, regardless. And it was really good. It was really good.
Throughout?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I talked about it on the show. I thought it was
You
good
did?
until I hated the ending.
Yeah. I went back and I researched the book and what it did, and I'm like, oh fuck, why didn't they make that? That's so much better. But yeah, got a little,
I thought it was
a little wonky, but I still dug it.
Left a bad taste in my mouth, but it's worth seeing. Yeah.
Oh, we got to talk about that off mic.
Stay tuned for the off mic sessions with Travis and Eric.
After hours.
It's hard enough to do one show. We're not doing another show.
It's not controversial at all. So you didn't like it? No. Oh shit.
Boring.
Premium content. Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Saw it. I heard the hype. I'm like, a couple of YouTubers, like, I'm making a horror movie. Who gives a fuck? Then I watched their YouTube channel, and it's the most obnoxious, irritating two motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life. They're like blowing shit up and laughing like little children and like running around with like fake lasers. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? But I gave it a shot because I was hearing good things, so I turned it on. It was fucking awesome. It was fucking awesome. It's one of the best horror movies I've seen in years.
All right.
Like, I publicly announced that it's the best I've seen since The Witch in 2016.
Is it streaming?
It's fucking awesome. No, let's just say the slot machine didn't bother me on this one.
Wow, it's amazing what Eric Brancher of all people.
Like, quit the
I
flip.
never thought it could happen, but
Quit the flip-flop.
I can't do it anymore. I can't get down there.
It's called you're a regular human being. It's tough. You do the best you can, and no one here is going to judge you for
I
that.
work
Although
hard,
you
and
did,
I got good morals, but I can't get down that theater.
I've got good morals.
That's a drop. That's great.
Fucking
Okay.
amazing. See it in theaters.
Oh, all right. Well, I've been on an absolute Always Sunny kick. For me, that's like an annual thing. Got to watch the whole series. And so I think I'm on season 10 right now. And there's 16 seasons, I think. I'm a little behind on the last one or two.
60? Is there 60
16?
seasons? Oh, okay.
Six, yeah. You don't love Always Sunny? I mean, it's so
I
good.
do. It's just it's the longest running live action sitcom at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's cheating, right? Because they only do 10 episodes.
That's true.
I mean,
But still,
we have
it's
to
a long time. It's a long time.
Oh
to be
no,
on
it
the air.
is. It's amazing that Danny
accomplishment.
DeVito has. It's amazing what Danny DeVito has put himself into on that show. Like, just no shame. It's
Oh my
incredible.
God.
I have
in.
yeah, I love him even more than I ever did now. I mean, he's a legitimate actor, and then he's at this final. Maybe it's not the final. Who knows what he'll do next? He's 79 years old. I mean, he could be around, but I just love what he does in that show. He's so funny, and those guys are all just so out to lunch. I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Definitely one of my all-time favorite TV shows, bar none. And I think that's it. There's hasn't been anything else. No other. Oh, follow-up from a recent show we did. Because I was a little hazy on it, so I went back and watched T2, Trainspotting 2.
Oh.
And because some of the things you guys said on that show, I was like, oh, wait, I don't remember that. But yes, of course, Bigby is absolutely in the sequel, and I had seen it, and I'd just forgotten that. Yes, everybody's in the sequel, and they're all very much a part of the sequel. So let's be clear on that. And I enjoy it. I think it's a fine sequel. It's a fun, we talked about Trainspotting have a certain place in the ethos, if you will. Like, if you want to go out there and kind of... Ethos is different than ether, by the way. I just realized that.
It is.
So out there in the
let it go.
ether, there's a Trainspotting spot, and then there's Trainspotting 2. And once you bring it back together, you're like, oh, I'm back in that spot out there in the world. And it's cool to be there again. So I think it's worth watching for sure. It's not a piece of shit. It's just... it's not Trainspotting 1. They're older. You're right. It's probably less fun. Are they more wise? I'll let you find out for yourself. But I definitely recommend T2, Trainspotting 2.
Terminator 2.
Did you get around to seeing that American Gladiators ESPN documentary on Netflix?
I had the chance last night to watch it. I was at my mom's house. She has Netflix, and I scrolled over it 3 times, Eric. I didn't want to commit to it I don't know why. My preference when I do get to watch Netflix, which is infrequent because I don't have a subscription. Subscription.
Struggling today? Too much talking?
Struggling. I just feel like
do 2
Is that
shows
Burner?
a night. I won't.
I won't do it. Beetlejuice 2 in the works, happening. I will tell you right now that I prefer like those documentary type real life shows, but I just skipped over it this time. I'm sorry, Eric. I'll try to do it tomorrow.
You don't want to hear like a grown Turbo talking about how he really did get hurt on Joust?
I I kind of do.
Turn to prescription painkillers after falling in those mats.
Oh no!
All for us. All for our entertainment.
All right. Well, we got to get to the main event anyways because I'm on a time crunch this week. I'm sorry. So it's time. We waited 2 weeks for this one.
No more jokes.
Prayer of the Rollerboys, a 1990 film starring Corey Haim, chosen by the man himself, Travis Royce. So, Travis, I give you the floor right away. I mean, why did you pick this movie? Set us up. You definitely have a nostalgic connection to it.
Oh, yeah. So I've mentioned a few times on this show that my mom's boyfriend, when I was from 1987 to 1993, would just record all kinds of movies. Whatever was new, he would just record them on two VHS players, and he would just bring us these stacks of films all the time. And I often didn't know if they were new, if they were old, if they were popular, or if they weren't. Like I mentioned that when we did The Crying Game, I mentioned that I had watched The Crying Game over and over and over again without really understanding that it was like a Academy Award winning and all that kind of stuff. And I did the same thing with this one, not understanding that no one fucking ever heard of this movie, but I watched it over and over and over again growing up. I literally have met one person in my life online who was a fan, and we literally became online friends and then real life friends when I moved to Florida. We ended up hanging out with him all the time and did Thanksgiving at his house, all because of a comment about Rollerboys. So it has a deep history for me, and I've always really liked dystopian films, and I like action movies, and this is as cultish and cheesy as it fucking come, 1990. But I've always really loved the premise and the anti-fascist message going on in the film. So I thought this movie might suck. This movie might be wonderful, but no matter what, it was going to give us something to talk about. So here we are. Oh, and also, again, if you're listening or watching now and you've not seen the movie, you do have to watch it on YouTube, just for the record.
It's free. I watch it. Even in Canada, it's free on YouTube. So.
All right.
Eric, do you want to speak for us on this? Because neither one of us has a background. This is our first viewing, right?
I had to check Google and make sure that Travis didn't dream this premise and film up, but it was a real movie. I watched it. I'd never heard of it. I watched it on YouTube. It's not streaming anywhere. I don't even think it was theatrically released. I'm still not even sure it's a movie. I think I still dreamed it.
Great job.
Roller Pud.
So let's take a look, right? It's time to find out. What's the IMDb score on this, guys?
Ooh, 5.1.
Yeah, I was going to say 5.4. That's my guess.
It's got to be 5 point.
Yeah, I can say
5.5. Maybe there's
say
some
5.9
out there.
5.9 because there's some fans like me.
What'd you say, Eric?
5.5?
You nailed it! Way to go, Eric!
All right.
That's exactly 5.5. Now, this might be an all-time low, Travis, for ratings.
It might be. No. The Annihilators was 4 point something. It was really low.
Based on one review.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the number of reviewers.
Oh, okay.
2.7 thousand. That's 2,700 reviews. So
that's not
very
a lot.
low on. No, for IMDb, that's low. I mean, we've had the biggest movie we ever did. I think had 1 million, but in between, it's usually 100,000, 200,000. So, anyways, maybe that's not representative, and everybody should watch the movie for themselves and find out on their own.
That's right.
As far as Rotten Tomatoes, you guys think this movie's on Rotten Tomatoes? First off,
I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't.
Oh.
I was concerned that it might not be, but it does exist. There is no critical point. There's no critical score, though. I've never seen this. It's a gray tomato on the thermometer. It's a gray tomato. Yeah, but we do have an audience score, though.
All right.
And better than the IMDb, 64%. It's a fresh bucket of popcorn.
Yeah. All right.
There we go. It does say the thermometer for the critical side has 2 reviews, and there's there's 2 people. Emmanuel Levy from EmmanuelLevy.com.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a splat, 2 out of 5 stars, no words. There's no words in it. So I don't know.
I'll score it, but I'm not writing a review.
What a dick.
All right, Emmanuel.
Yeah, well. All right, dude. Thanks for checking in. And then Caffeinated Clint from Movie Hole said he's got words. It's a splat, 2 out of 5. Mm-hmm. The beginning of the end for Corey Haim, methinks. Methinks.
One word?
Yeah.
What an
he's
asshole.
that guy. Oh, 2 assholes for sure. So that's the extent of the Rotten Tomatoes. So there we go. Now, this is actually great for our time crunch because we got through that a lot quicker than we usually do. All right, so this is by the way, this movie was written by the guy who I've talked about on the show before, who wrote Point Break, who wrote Patriot Games. These are after this, but I still don't believe it's his real name. It's this guy, W. Peter Iliff. So when I saw his name on the IMDb, whenever I saw his name as the writer, I was like, oh, dude, that guy, the Point Break guy. And he also wrote Varsity Blues. And these are some movies I really do enjoy. So this is a legitimate writer, but this is his debut. This is his first movie as a Hollywood writer. So just wanted to make that clear for Peter W. Peter Iliff.
Someone liked his work enough to keep producing his movies. Maybe not his dialogue, but
the premise here. Okay, so the premise here is fun. The premise is a dystopian America that is colleges are being relocated to China in
Japan.
Complete campus form from MIT to Asia, and
Germany has bought Poland.
Germany buys Poland.
Oh yeah, I texted Eric that when I saw it on the screen.
Germany buys Poland.
Yep.
It's a tough time, right?
Yeah, everybody's in like refugee camps. It's a fascist government, but a largely absent government, like lording over a decayed society. Everyone either lives in a city where the capitalism has utterly failed them, and they're all like in poverty, or they live like on the outskirts of towns, cleaning up like hazardous waste and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's grim.
It's tough.
It's grim.
So I'm going to bring this up now. The kid.
He's the worst.
Kid
Milty is the worst.
Milty.
He's awful. The acting is terrible. I acknowledge.
How did you feel about it when you were younger, though? Do you remember having more of a connection with Milty?
No, I always fucking hated Milty.
Oh.
He's got one good line of delivery when he talks about go to the bubble towns. It's the only good line, the only good delivery he has the whole fucking movie. The rest of the time it's just terrible, especially when he's trying to hit on Rosanna Arquette or Patricia Arquette. It's like, oh man, this is excruciating to watch. He's terrible.
Imagine if they tried to clone Jonathan Taylor Thomas in 1990, but like the clone didn't work, but like they forced it into acting anyway. Yeah, pretty much it.
Never saw him in anything else. Don't know why.
Yeah, he is. I mean, people who know me on this show, if you don't know me, I am already anti-children in movies most of the time, unless of course it's like, never ending story where you really have no choice. But like when they shoehorn kids into adult movies, it really bothers me. And I consider this, although, God, it's unclear to me how old the leader of the Rollerboys is. Like, he looks very young, but he's like a leader of, he came up in the camps. Like, he tells a story. It's a great story, right? How he became the leader and everybody needed a family. Everybody needs a family. I get that.
When they're like swearing, Griffin and like it's all like they're all like holding their hands like this, day of the rope. It's like all white boys from like the age of 5 to like maybe 25. So I would guess that Gary Lee is under 25. I think he's like 21, 22. But it's a street gang that has like exploded into this weird, because of its fascist messaging and savvy investing and working with a Chinese franchise of drugs. They're able to like conquer the markets.
Did anyone check? Is this Patricia Arquette's debut, by the way? I didn't check, but it seems like it might be.
It wasn't her debut. This was like a movie or two before True Romance. This was like a year or so before it.
Yeah, True Romance 93. So okay, so it's still early Patricia Arquette, and boy, I really thought it was her debut movie without looking it up. Which sometimes I don't want to look everything up. I admit that, but I was also like, oh boy, like Corey Haim kind of had this reputation in the late 80s into the early 90s where he started like, because, he went from a teenage heartthrob into like, I'm going to get butt naked with Nicole Eggert in full, like, fucking in movies. And I'm like, oh, God, Patricia Arquette's going to be. I just felt like when I was watching a few scenes in this with Patricia Arquette, I'm like, oh, boy, I'm going to see a scene here where she was exploited because she was new and young. But it didn't happen. She actually became a pretty tough, resilient. Like, she was shooting that giant gun in like the late stage shootouts. And I was like, oh, this.
She saves him. She saves the day.
Badass.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Eric, you disagree?
Mr. Skin's number 1 fan is afraid that he might have to see Patricia Arquette's beautiful body. Okay. I I had no clue what this was even about. It comes on and it's like 10 minutes of Corey Haim like roller skating, and I'm like, fuck yeah,
rollerblading.
like, I love rollerblading. I'm like, fuck yeah, I love thrashing. I love rad. I'm like, now we got rollerblades. And he's probably gonna join a competition and like big prize money's on the line. Then I'm like, wait, is there like a pogo stick movie I don't know about too? What is with all these like sports getting into these? I had no clue what the fuck was happening, and then like this message starts from Gary Lee, and I'm like. It totally changes directions, and like I don't know, like it's just.
I thought it was relatable.
So weird.
Like we rip boomers to shit now. This movie was ahead of its time. It was ripping like the boomers, sort of, and younger boomers. Yes, because it would have been in the future.
Everything on everybody's parents. Everything.
Yeah.
Well, but
my
he was
parents
also
screwed me.
right. I mean, they're partly right, but partly wrong, and that's one of the things I like about this movie is that they make fascism look alluring because they'll mix truths with facts, and like your grievances, you know, like some of them are based in some sort of reality, maybe. So there is some truth to the fact that, like, you know, a generation or three overextended themselves and borrowed more than they could ever pay back. Hello, college fund or college loans that I have. No fun. That would have been nice. But yeah, it's definitely a post-American superiority movie, which, you know, people have seen that train coming for some time, I think.
That's fair. And I like the setup in a way, but I was with Eric. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is going to be like a big showdown, and he's going to have to save the day. And there is. You know, I think about rollerblading movies like Airborne. Now, Airborne is a kick-ass movie about rollerblading and, like, winning the hearts of the people through rollerblading. This movie's not so much about that. No. In this movie, yeah, rollerblading is kind of like, it's just there. I think they had the movie first. Or maybe they had a premise first and then a movie. Like, dude, I got these awesome costumes. We're going to do white trench coats with, like, bandanas on our heads, and we'll all wear rollerblades, and we'll have, like, these insignias that are all clearly, you know, I mean, how many times are we going to see a movie where somebody, like, does the Nazi? Because what happens later in the movie, you find out. By the way, Mist. We got to talk about Mist. Yeah. One of the top 5 all-time made-up drugs in movie history. You got Nuke. You got Mist. You've got...
it's one of the best, right? It's a great made-up drug.
Substance D from Scanner Darkly. Those are 3 off the top of my head I can think of that are like new drugs to me. But yeah, it's definitely in the top 5 for sure.
It's the whole like sterilization thing is intense. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh yeah, the rope. Yeah, we'll get to the rope. But like, I thought the same thing. I'm like, if you like, I got a feeling like they took this script to like this like a studio, and they were like, like this is a cool idea and very inventive, but like we got no money. But Rollerblade has offered to put up the entire production budget as long as you're cool with the main characters riding around on rollerblades.
And honestly, the way that they swing their arms back and forth, Mike, like you say, like that's not, they're goose stepping. They're fucking goose stepping. It works. And like honestly, when they come rolling through, like the first time you see them all coming at once, they look cool. I'm sorry, they look cool.
I mean, it looked in unison. Same thing when I watch synchronized swimming. I don't know anything about it. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. I can't do that, but you know, I just think that. Okay, fine. So the premise is clear. Yes, with the sterilization and the insignias and the setup, goose stepping,
and the hating the immigrants. We haven't really talked about that. They hate immigrants. It's white supremacy.
That's true too. Point. And like you said, they're all white guys, right? I didn't notice anybody.
They're white supremacists. They're white supremacists, like open.
But
they're
they
living
really
in a country where Mexico is turning away North American immigrants.
Yes, that was fun. See, I like that. Those are the moments you want to like the movie. Like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, Mexico's cooler than U.S. U.S. is the shithole.
Little tidbits like that peppered throughout the movie.
Yeah, there's all kinds of tidbits. All right, so what about Speedbagger? So how did you feel about Speedbagger when you were a kid? Again, I want to know your connection to Speedbagger from a young age.
I always felt like Speedbagger was a pretty flat character, not very well developed, not expertly acted either. But I do like when he just wants you to think about what you're doing, please. I don't want your love. You know, I do think that I think he has his moments.
That was a moment. I'll give you that. Yeah. But you know, when Corey Haim is told to beat people up and dominate and exploit people with a little more enthusiasm, and then he the next scene is a guy with something on his head. Who could it be? And he's really into it. And then it turns out to be Speedbagger. I saw that. And then
Gary Lee knows
shit.
that, right? Gary Lee's like
Yes!
trying to prep him to do that. And so I think the audience is going to figure that out pretty quickly too, which is why Milty's watching to let you know, like, yes, we know that you know that it's Speedbagger. In there.
Nobody got emotional about Milty getting addicted to mist?
No.
Or the open hand slap by Gary Lee to
Followed
a child?
by a hug. Yeah. Followed by a hug.
What?
What do you guys think of Bango?
Oh, Mark Pellegrino.
Yeah.
Bango? I like to give them a little bit extra because they're cute. You know, drugs to the cute kids.
That was funny.
Oh man, Bango
I
is
laughed.
Bango is my
Fun.
favorite of the Rollerboys. I have to say.
Yeah. If you're gonna
What
have
about
a
these
favorite.
two doofus
Yeah.
cops who are
Forrest
always
and
trailing the
Francisco.
action? These two. There's only 3
That
people
was
on the
like-
force. I know the officers are shorthanded, but
Very.
good God.
Straight
The
trauma.
budget. Straight.
Yeah, there's 4 cops in the force. You're right. They're definitely pretty overextended, but I do like that there's factions here. You know, there's nuance to the motivations and everybody. Some of the cops are good, some of the cops are straight up evil. All of the Rollerboys are evil, but like even then, like Bango can be like likable even though he's an evil guy. That kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And Gary Lee can have a lot of like, you know, he has a lot of selling points. You know, again, I don't agree with them, but that's the whole point. Is that
He's
like,
a smart investor too.
right? So it's
He believes in his cause too.
right.
Like
Right. He wants to
has
make
a lot
America
of
great again.
conviction.
Yes,
Did that guy do a good job though in that role?
I think he did.
Yeah, I mean, he has both a perm and a mullet, so I can't say that phonically he did well, but his acting wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I like his performance.
Wow. For Eric to say it wasn't terrible, that's a pretty high endorsement, actually. Okay. All right.
I would have liked to see more from that actor after, to be honest.
Yeah, I looked him up. I didn't see jack shit.
Nah. They clearly set it up for Rollerboys 2, which never came.
Yes!
would've been
Holy
awesome.
shit. I'm glad you brought that up because
Really
that
did.
was so blatant. That was the
Yeah.
most blatant. We're doing a sequel. We believe in this movie so much. We're making it happen. I'll let him go to Oregon and let him think we're out of the mix for a while.
If Corey Haim was still alive, I'd still be open to a sequel at this point.
There would be if he was alive, there would actually be a GoFundMe, a Kickstarter.
Right.
There would actually be a push for a sequel by now because that's how life works today. But
I hope so.
I
I'd like to
kind of
think so.
would have liked to have seen it because that means Corey Haim would be alive too. And
That's
so,
nice.
by the way, what else do we say about Corey Haim here? I mean, we know the story about Corey Haim's life, addiction, and he may have
talked about
been
it.
exploited about Hollywood. It sucks, and but you know, he does the best he can do here. I thought he was fine.
I got a note here that says Sideshow Mel Origins, based on both his hair and costume.
When he's running from Gary Lee and Gary Lee shoots something that blows up and he goes in like slow motion, he's like, "God damn." That moment's really, really low. It's a really low moment in the movie. That said, I think that he actually holds his own pretty well for a lot of it. The dialogue is terrible. Most of the dialogue is just awful.
That's it.
And he does the best he can with it. So I think he sells a lot of it pretty well. There's a lot of like brooding looks and that kind of stuff. I think he does good in this one.
I thought he really crushed it a lot more in License to Drive, which you guys can
Sure.
see on our License to Drive show, available on the Preferred Podcast platform.
He's selling a world here. He's selling this predicament, his situation. I think he does well. I mean, you nailed it. The dialogue is so bad that like if you're even making it competent, you're doing a good job. Like the
There's
cops,
a diss of my
they're
guy.
adults, and they probably have acted in way more shit than Corey Haim, and they're fucking terrible. But Corey Haim's pretty good in it.
W. Peter Iliff is not appreciative of you guys
not a
ripping
person.
his dialogue.
The-
Hey, check out his IMDb. Click on his bio, and you'll see a guy in a fucking bandana who looks like a douchebag. Just letting you know that.
Well, that's partly why I like Bango's character so much, because you get the feeling that there's a lot of improv happening with that guy. Just the way that he's doing it. Unlike, say, the guy that plays Bullwinkle, that's just like he's trying so hard. Bullwinkle does a terrible job. I'm
He
sorry.
does.
Terrible. So terrible. The guy sucks. The Bullwinkle, really? That's what we're calling somebody in a hardcore gang? Come on, man.
Is it the dude from Dream a Little Dream that we talked about before that was the villain in that? Is it the same
He
actor?
does look like him. I'll
I'm
effort
looking it
that
up.
right now. Yeah.
Are you looking it up? Okay, you look it up.
You look it up. I look it up.
I feel like it's him.
Bullwinkle, though? Come on. Are you supposed to be like, oh, Bullwinkle's here. This is bad news, dude. Morgan Weiser is the guy who played Bullwinkle.
Okay, yeah, that's not him.
And it's not him. I don't think it is. He was in Quantum Leap. He did an episode of Quantum Leap once.
Okay.
He's got big big vibes though of
Big
bad
Dreams.
guy from
Yeah,
Big Little Dream. Yeah,
he does have the vibes, and he wanted to make it big. And Corey Haim's character saves his life in the Mist House, which is run by the bogus cops, apparently, or were they bogus cops?
No,
I don't know.
they were breaking. The Mist House was ran by the Rollerboys, and then the Mist Cops pretended to be B-13ers, the mixed race club. And,
See, this is why we need you here. You're like the authority on this movie. Clearly, I want to say one thing. Our friend Steve Guile said this to me in a text last week. He said, "I wish there was blood squibs in this movie." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Blood squibs may have raised the level of intensity of this movie a little bit. There's too many shots, a lot of hardcore violence, and a lot of F words. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was gonna be PG-13. It was hardcore.
Yeah. It's a hardcore movie.
I mean, we got tits at like Chuck E. Cheese. What the fuck was going on with that party?
It was the Rollerboys Bacchanalia.
Merry-go-round?
People fucking at Chuck E. Cheese. That's where these fucking Nazi rollerbladers hang out. Showbiz Pizza. Got Nazi Chuck E. Cheese.
They've taken over.
What else, gentlemen? The soundtrack kick ass? Have you some cool music?
No.
Not
For a
really.
second, I thought somebody like re-edited that Nine Inch Nails track into this movie. I'm like, how the fuck did they afford that?
It fits right in,
that's
though.
right.
Had like a hole.
Yeah, it did fit in, and I was shocked. I was like, oh, wait. Is this all the money in the budget?
Go ahead, Travis.
I like, again, like to me, one of the things that they do a great job in this movie is showing the way that fascism uses merchandising and going after young minds. They're feeding young kids and giving them comic books. They have like kiosks set up for with cool videos. I think that the rollerblades are really about, because rollerblades were super trendy and popular in 1990. So I think that's really what that's about, is trying to like appeal to kids. And it shows that fascism preys on people like that. And that's partly why the allure can be so strong. If you're young and more vulnerable to that kind of thing, they're gonna get their hooks in you early. So I think they do a good job in showing it's like that, but they're also comparing, like making these kind of like, central LA gangs kind of references too, like with kids like slinging drugs and that kind of stuff, making some parallels to things that were happening at the time as far as gangs go. I think that there's a lot of ground being covered at once in this movie that's pretty impressive for something that's clearly just like fucking B popcorn cult stuff.
Yeah, if you're a 12-year-old in a movie from 1990, you either got the Rollerboys or the Foot Clan. Both can offer you a lot of cool stuff, but you got to do some really shady shit.
That's right.
Phaedon Papa Michael is the DP here, and I just praised his work in The Dial of Destiny. He's been at it a long time, and
oh wow,
he shoots dark, which I love, and the movie looks pretty rich.
That's cool.
A lot of I feel like a lot of LA sunsets are in the mix in a lot of scenes in this movie.
The production design, Michael, it still just looks like 80s LA, but that's a budget thing. And it got me thinking, one of my big notes is with this plot and the idea here, if this was like a graphic novel or like an anime movie, it could be like fucking Ghost in the Shell or something really cool. And you replace the rollerblades with I don't know, like the Tron light cycles or something much cooler. The whole experience could have been different and much cooler, but it's just really encased itself in 1990 culture and low budget shit films.
That's what it is. But
that's true.
I think that you raise a good point. They do a lot with their minimal budget, with say a chain link fence and a bunch of people on the other side of it, or a bunch of tents and that kind of stuff. And then we were referencing the newspapers or the radio programs or TV programs that kind of widen out this world to give you kind of a feel of what else is happening. In reality, most of this is shot in what looks like a fucking parking lot that's being redressed in different ways. And then there's they're on some Navy fields, which also when they're speed racing through that Navy field and all those guys have those AK-47s, they just be mowing everyone in half. But everyone's just rollerblading through all these bullets. That's where the squibs would have come into handy very nicely.
Yeah, it would have. Oh, we haven't talked about the pizza dude, man. Come on, we're the whole
Pinky.
Pizza. Yankees
Pinky,
Pizza.
man, the Pinky Van, man. The Pinky Van. Man, come on, man. You want some extra kelp?
Milton, I know a lot of kelp talk in this movie on pizza. One of the most important resources available. I've seen kelp in every shithole lake in Michigan my whole life. I just have a hard time.
Yeah. Well, because there's no vegetation. They're out of spinach. They're out of so this is a resource thing. We're falling back on a fucking kelp.
Kelp. Okay, all right, that makes sense, I suppose.
At least they thought about it.
It's something. But
And
yeah,
even,
when they go
even after the apocalypse, even if you're delivering pizzas with an AK-47, you still got to wear your fucking little hat and your striped shirt to deliver the pizzas.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Capitalism never goes
and
away.
Also, a pizza place is still around and thriving. Like
That's right.
There's a lot of like weird stuff that makes it seem like, well, is there really an apocalypse? Like when they're on the way to Oregon, like just looks like a random freeway, and like everyone's just like milling about, and like everything's fine, like 10 miles away.
The whole
like,
movie they're
precinct
bitching
can't
about there's
send them
nowhere to
like,
go,
Oregon.
Eric.
Come on.
Yeah, the whole movie they're bitching there's nowhere else to go, and then suddenly Oregon's no problem.
Yeah, to be driving to Oregon, they should have filmed them driving through like Death Valley or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like that's a sequel. Like them being like, all right, let's get off on the next exit and live there. They'll be just fine.
And by the way, the brand new van, the van to replace the previous van that gets destroyed, is this movie's so old. That's like, oh my god, that's like a Pontiac
It's a silhouette.
minivan. Yeah, I was like, oh my god,
Beautiful
it's that
silhouette.
fucking thing. And Milty shows up like he's so cool with the keys. Like, look what I do. Fuck off, Milty. Get out of here. Nobody enjoys you.
Right next to Speed Bag or whatever the fuck his name is.
Even being on drugs, he's annoying. He's like more annoying when he's on drugs somehow.
Yes, but the
And
reason I
like
brought
a
up
possible mass murder. He's like, yes, shoot him in the face. Fucking kill him. It's like, Jesus.
yeah, he's young. That's not good. That's not good at all.
That's
but
the
the reason
thing.
that is the thing. You're right. That's fair. Hey, indoctrination. But the reason I brought up the pizza place is the scene where they go to homeless Camp 47. What was it called?
Yeah, whatever. The homeless
Yeah.
camp to
There's a
deliver
sign,
pizza.
and there's fences, and there's a little girl who gets a slice of pizza. It's like, oh, that's sweet. Yeah, and like, hey, get away from there. You know, that's where it looked really cheesy to me with the design and the budget. Like, oh man, they tried to make it look cool here, but you're not selling me on this. With no blood squibs, it makes it worse. And I think it really does matter, man. There's so many movies that had, especially in this era, guys. Blood squibs were huge. I mean, RoboCop was 87. You know, Total Recall's 1990. We got to see blood squibs in this era. Someone's got to splurge for the squibs.
They clearly didn't have a good blood guy. Because there's enough deaths where it would have made
They
sense.
clearly didn't. Yeah, they
went
clearly did.
Yeah, they went for the R rating, so they definitely, I don't know, someone dropped the ball on that one.
That's
I guess.
okay.
But again, like it's a low budget movie. There's lots of things you gotta either overlook or you're gonna be stuck on and hate the film.
You're right. Yeah.
You got an actual building on fire, like when the van blew in there. Looked pretty cool, convincing.
Yeah.
Not bad.
They got a whole big naval yard for the showdown between Gary Lee and of course it ends in a rollerblade chase. That's fitting.
Yes.
They needed to have that. And honestly, when they're like running up those stairs at that
I was
one
just
point,
gonna say, that
I'm
looks
like,
fucking
holy
cool.
shit, that looks hard.
Uninterrupted shot of two people running up the stairs in rollerblades. That looked awesome.
You guys
Booking it.
you guys
And
did-
it's clearly Corey
neither
Haim.
one of you have ever done that because it's not as hard as it looks.
Not possible.
I'm telling you,
It looks impossible.
I did when I was a kid. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I was that cool, and I'm not that cool. I'm not. So I'm just saying. So.
Well, they do other things that are.
They do. He's
I've
got
never
some
put
moves.
rollerblades on in my life.
He definitely was a
didn't
blader.
happen.
I gave him credit. Yeah, I mean, he clearly hadn't been too far down the addiction path yet because he still had excellent skills with his body.
Yeah,
but
physicality going on.
yeah, look, he's got freighters that he can show off, and it's like, oh look, we included the shot. So hey, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, we could sell U.S. Navy freighters. I got this power plant in the background. You're right, that's pretty cool. And I only could. Did you guys get impressed by the setup in the kitchen? Like, dude, we flush this acid through, and they can't charge us no matter what. I'm like, really? Is that how crime works? Is that how the law works? Like, you still could be conspiracy charges, right? I mean,
A bigger points are like not even the cops' battering rams could kick the door down unless it's the other cops that show up later who
on a
somehow
fucking
get the door down.
airstream? Yeah, oh shit, it's an airstream. Nobody can get in that fucker. That's funny. There's a lot of jokes you can really go to town on the jokes of this movie. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious,
But that whole sequence has the rope where it's unveiled what the rope actually is, designed to sterilize all the drug users. So again, like these, and the idea that's being put deliberately on the street to fuck people up. So there's all these crack epidemic kind of references happening there with that in a way, I think.
Doesn't Gary Lee even call it the final solution?
He does. He calls it the final solution.
Yeah, that is utter.
100%. And then, and again, like it's a Chinese franchise that they've added the sterilizing aspect to. It's literally like a designer drug that the Chinese franchise out to people. There's so much happening in this movie. Just like, yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
That's a good point. I hate to cut it short here, but I gotta kind of get to it. Anything else we didn't cover here, gentlemen?
I think that's. Roller pud. I do want to like emphasize the importance of the phrase roller pud coming up throughout this film. Makes me happy. That's what you call
I
fans
missed
of this
that
movie.
one.
You call us roller puds. That's what the cop calls him every time he sees him. What's up, roller pud?
Oh shit! Well, I feel like I got to watch it again.
I don't know how you missed that. It happens like 5 times. Roller pud.
Well, every time that cop shows up, he's like, I don't know what he's saying. I'm just like, old
yeah,
man.
not the one that seems like hey Bab from 12 Monkeys guy. Not that guy. The Wachowski, whatever his name is, the main detective.
You think we got $50 for a Greyhound ticket? Think again. The precinct's broke.
Right, like,
Do it or I'm out.
Yeah. And he's like totally lying to him. He's like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. No, we
Like,
just told you.
If you want to be a little bit more honest, fuck that kid, Milty. Nobody likes him.
That's true.
He's like, I had an inkling that those 2 cops were actually homicidal maniacs. Didn't check into it, but whatever.
Thought I'd kill him. Thought I'd kill him and risk your life in the process. But again, like even the good cops are corrupt, right? I mean, the whole thing is systemic dysfunction.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I brought this to the table, so I will start first. I had not seen this movie in a long time. I'd wanted to bring it on the show for a long time. I was pretty confident how I'd feel about it, and I do still love it. It does still hold up to me. I think it's silly in a lot of ways, and I think it almost flirts with being dangerous in how appealing it can make some of the fascism. I think they could have gone a little harder on the messaging and how bad it actually is, the racism and white supremacy and that kind of stuff. I think that there's some really interesting points that are set up that you can kind of extrapolate on and like kind of think, oh, that's interesting. But there's quite a few things that are not carried through as well as far as they should have, especially given the heady topics that they're covering. But overall, I think that for a movie from 1990, which is not the best year for film, it's got an extremely low budget. It's got a novice screenwriter at the time. It's got a lot going against it, but I think it holds up as a unique, still fairly entertaining movie that has a lot of interesting points in it and some real relevance to conversations that can be made about the 1990s or about today.
Eric, why'd you go next?
Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah, when you first watch it and you're 42, it's really hard to get past like the sloppiness of the dialogue and the script. It's like you couldn't polish this up. Like it's really hard to get over. But then a week goes by, and then 10 days goes by, and you're like, you know what? That's kind of cool. Like it's interesting that this doesn't come up when we had all of these Verhoeven pictures, Mike. And you do have a really cool relationship. Like I dig the part about Gary Lee and Griffin like knowing each other, and then one took one path and the other took a different path, and they wind up here. And there's this convincing argument and this back and forth. Yeah, it comes on a little strong. I mean, even when Gary Lee's getting arrested, like he still looks kind of cool, and that's a problem. Yeah. So I don't know, man. This is a tricky one. Like I think it holds up because I think it's worth seeing for the sake of conversation when it comes to these types of movies. Youth in 1990, post-apocalyptic movies you may not have seen that like are fun but not necessarily good. So it's a tricky one, man. I'm going to put it over the edge just because I mean I've been kind of thinking about it over the past few days, even though it was kind of a tricky watch.
I'm stunned. Yeah, that's surprising from especially some of the texts we exchanged a week ago. But a week can change a lot, you know?
That's right after it ended, Michael. Like you've been haunted by some movies in the past, too.
It does haunt you. For me, though, I keep it real here. It's just not hardcore enough. They wanted to be hardcore, but they couldn't fulfill the whole dream. There's some good ideas. You think about what the performances are like and how the movie progresses. It's very cheesy. It's too cheesy. Yeah. I know why. I understand. This is 10 different categories of life. You could say, hey, this movie holds up because it's fun. We could have a lot of laughs, and we could have some thought-provoking moments related to it. I can see why you do that, but I got to shut this one down. I don't have a nostalgic connection to it. I bet if I did, I bet I would say it holds up. I think I absolutely, totally would. But I remember being there like, too many uhs, and I got to stay real to the moment that I was there. I'm having fun talking about the movie with you guys now. I enjoyed this episode, but that's different than my movie watching experience. I think we have to separate those two. So I'm going to say not quite for me. I wish it was a little better. I like the idea, but it doesn't work. Not for me. It doesn't hold up. Fair
enough. I figured there was a possibility that even I would say that it didn't hold up.
I did too.
I knew that would give us some fodder to talk about.
I'm glad we did it. I don't regret doing it at all. I'm glad
Oh,
we
good.
did this.
I don't want you to regret any of our 166 episodes, Mike.
The thing is,
Neither do
I
I.
definitely would watch it again. Like, when I say it doesn't hold up, it means like I'm done. Put it away. Keep the dust on it. There's no use looking at it again. I definitely see this again.
Yeah, I've revisited it many times throughout my life, and it always I find relevance there. So
Let's see if it digs its claws into us now as 42-year-olds, Eric. And then 20 years from now, we're talking about, oh, dude, I got to throw that on again. I have such a nostalgic, oh, those are the days.
we'll revisit for episode 1666.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's when we'll start doing repeats, even though there's a million movies out there. So. All right, that was fun. Thanks, guys. Travis chose that one. It was good times. Travis, Eric, myself. cinemanipod@gmail.com. Please email us. Please subscribe to the YouTube. We do post our show in video form, so if you want to see us, you want to see me go in and out of the screen like I've been doing.
You're
on this
looking like
show.
Ghost from Ant-Man 2.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's weird. I don't love it, but either way, if you want to see, check it out on the YouTube, Cinema 9 Pod. Next week, we're going to do Eric's selection. Eric, what will next week's film be?
We're going back to 2001 to revisit a film that I had strong opinions about when it came out. Saw it a couple times. But I haven't seen it since. And I think the time is very aplomb that we bring it back to the table, especially considering the talk around the very acronym in the title. We are going to see Steven Spielberg's AI, Artificial Intelligence.
Oh, well, that changes what I was going to pick next time. I was going to do a Spielberg film. Now I know not to. But that's fun.
That's the exact movie that I was thinking you were going to do. Or as soon as you said 2001, for some reason I thought AI right away, but that's weird.
Yeah,
but
this is a good one. This is a good call.
I don't know if it's a good one, but we'll find out.
It's a good call for the show. I've been wanting to bring Spielberg on for a long time, but there's only so many movies that it's kind of like questionable. This
is definitely one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Spielberg's been
I don't know if I'm
tricky to put
excited
on
about
here.
this at all. Yeah. So.
It's long.
All right, well,
A little bit long.
hey, AI. I remember being a fucking slog from hell, so we'll see what it's like to go back now.
It's been 22 years.
It's definitely not a movie I've watched many times, so I don't have like a tight connection to it, so it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Nah, not since it was new.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll look forward to that. We'll see everybody next week.
That sounds great. Thanks, everyone.
Give us...